everyone, and welcome to the Captain's Video Blog. We are Sunday, October the 9th, 2016. I thought that there wouldn't be, too much to talk about before No Way Out. Turns out that actually there is. Something that maybe we should have seen coming. Tonight is the second presidential debate, and obviously it's going to be very, very followed, very watched, because of the last comments that have emerged. The video where Donald Trump talks about grabbing women by the pussy, huh? Oh boy, that should be, I think, it should be the last straw, because he said that he's not a perfect man, and people have come out and said that he's not running to be Pope. Then again, when you run for this kind of office, I do believe that you should at least try to keep a nice track record when it comes to that kind of stuff. And apparently, a producer of The Apprentice has said that the production is sitting on tapes where he says the N-word. Obviously, it's going to be very interesting, and therefore No Way Out, No Mercy. The WWE, for No Mercy, they have decided to go all out and put the main event in the opening contest. The show will start with John Cena versus AJ Styles versus Dean Ambrose. Oh boy, that's gonna be quite the match, quite the opener, and we'll end with a match with high stakes too, the Intercontinental Championship match between Dolph Ziggler and The Miz. High stakes because Dolph has put his career on the line, so yeah, there's that. It could be very interesting to see what would happen if Dolph wins. On one hand, I just want The Miz to keep his title for longer than the Honky Tonk Man, because the way the Honky Tonk Man's reign ended is not the best remembered thing about it, but it's literally a squash against the Ultimate Warrior. So yeah, it should be good that The Miz would keep it for like even a day longer, depending on the pay-per-view or the SmackDown schedule, or even the house show schedule. But in the house show it would be bad. On SmackDown it would be better, but not quite. And it should be a pay-per-view, and even better, maybe one of the top of the big four, and it should be in a great match. But still, if he loses, it gives him actually a reason to go to Raw, because that's been a rumor that The Miz would be one of the first stars to go from SmackDown to Raw. We'll see about it. And I, as much as I want to see The Miz retain his title for as long as possible, I do also want to see Dolph Ziggler in the WWE. So yeah, and they still haven't removed Becky Lynch from the card, which I'm a bit afraid, because it shapes up to be a case like with Randy Orton at Backlash, and that is not really good, but yeah, whatever. They could announce it the very beginning of the show and have Alexa Bliss become the champion, by forfeits or something like that. Even though consistent noise around Becky Lynch says that it's not too bad. So who knows? Um, Also, I apparently completely missed the news about that, but there's going to be a no disqualification match between Carmella and Nikki Bella, which is, I mean, it's cool, really. It's already better than other gimmicky contests around divas that in history, with, for example, the surfing table. I hope it was the surfing table match because anything else would be really degrading, I think. But yeah, and we're not even in the era of the divas anymore, so yeah, we should stray from that as fast, as far as possible from that kind of shit. So yeah, I mean, there's been some real bad blood between the two women, so it could be really interesting to see them, well, punch the living shit out of each other, even though with that kind of stipulations, yeah, could make it very prone to outside interferences, especially with the fact that considering that Becky Lynch might be out, the only other really babyface diva on the roster is Naomi. While I mean, Natalia, on the other hand, she is very much so, to be quite honest, very powerful. So yeah, we'll see. But still, there's been some hype, there's been some actual build up. So I cannot say that I'm not going into this without any any expectations. I'm not expecting big things from that show, but I'm already expecting things. So yeah, I thought that I honestly thought that I would have nothing to talk about. I was like, when I woke up, it was almost 7 p.m. So I was like, fuck. So I guess this means after No Way Out. And then I've seen the news, and I was like, oh well. Suddenly I can do like 7 minutes of content and even more apparently. Um, and I had nearly forgotten about it, but this week on a big channel of the French television, there's they are doing a kind of a Back to the Future themed week, which is strange because it was last year that we were into Back to the Future. So yeah, and it started tonight because there is no football this week. Well, no league on this week because of the national teams, the qualifiers for the World Cup. So they decided to make a kind of a mockumentary about what would their flagship show about football would look like in 2050, and it would be it's before the final of the Champions League. No, actually the Champions Cup. That would oppose Paris. Actually, Paris Shanghai Club, because at one point Qatar, the reserves. The gas reserves of Qatar would have run out, so they wouldn't have any money to support the club. So it would have been bought by China. Uh, really funny. I mean, it's kind of, it could happen, but still. And the Red Star, which is a club from the Paris suburbs, the poor suburbs, who play in a very now blocky Stade de France, now called the Great Stadium, while Paris now play in the Palace of the Princes. I mean, it shows a very dystopian view of both the future of society. They after the climate has gone to shit, Paris has installed literally a wall around the city to to clean up the air, but also, if you don't have a visa, a working visa, you cannot enter Paris, and therefore the suburbs have become, pretty much no-go zones, the actual no-go zones. But there's also the brain, which is an AI that has been built by apparently very radical leftist hackers uh, that support the Red Star. Um, I mean, it's a lot of fun, and football is now played in quarter times, in quarters, not quarter times. Uh, the referee is a former MMA fighter. Uh, yeah, a woman plays with the men, which is actually something that would be great. I do think that if football becomes a bit more open, that wouldn't be bad. But still, it's more about the money. Footballers have become, brainwashed to only think football. Uh, it's it's really, I mean, it's as laughable as it is scary. Like some of the formations put into place, I just don't want them to be true. For example, apparently Marcelo Bielsa has come back to Marseille and won with a 2-3-5, which is completely crazy considering how the man himself works. He wouldn't put into he wouldn't set up a formation that is so unbalanced, because we can call him El Loco all we want. At the end of the day, his formation, it was a 4-4-3, which is all in all fairly balanced. So yeah, and the worst thing is how much money, how much the economy has gotten into football. So yeah, China has become a financial superpower. That's how they bought Paris, and they apparently bought the shares that didn't that weren't theirs into a player. Being therefore the owners of a player literally 2 minutes before the start of the match, and the player, he represents a human football, which is probably, they probably went too far with the morals and the ethics on that one, because he's saying they have like tattoos on their face to show that they are more of a down to earth football, not so much with all the biogenics genetics things with a player that has broken his ankle and suddenly it's pretty much become a robot. And yeah, it ends with really all the system pretty much going to shit. They are saying that if the player doesn't play for the team that he's supposed to play for, he would be jailed, and his team, if they don't pull him out, they will lose the match anyway. So yeah, at the end it all goes to shit, and it makes it all the more interesting. The more it goes, the more invested in that universe you get. And I think that on one hand it's a cool thing, but the reception on the social media, everyone has a lot of people have taken it way too seriously, saying that once again Paris, and the money are the bad guys. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thing. Money is kind of ruining football, because the Champions Cup has become 20 teams. Actually, 20 teams immediately qualified as the big 20 of the European football scene, and 12 teams are champions, but they need to go through 4 qualifying rounds. So as far as this goes, there's no real equality. So yeah, I don't know. It just leaves a strange taste in the mouth after watching that, because I'm like, when it's 2050, I will be 47, 57 years old. So still, there enough to see how the society changes, and if I must live in a place like that, I think I would actually blow my brains out because that looks like shit. So yeah, I don't know. But really makes you think, I guess. So yeah, and it's really been the fact that France would become pretty much a dystopia has been a reoccurring theme actually in current fiction, science fiction from France. Though you can't really blame them because the real thing is not that much better. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow with all my thoughts about No Mercy. Bye.